will be something for a limited time only. He does have to leave shortly.
All right. Hi, it's Nasty Neal.
And this is Annabelle Lecter.
And we're joined by John Russo here.
We are at the Mad Monster Party run by Eben McGar, and it's in Charlotte, North Carolina, a beautiful city. I'm real happy to be here because I was so hungover I didn't know if I could get up this morning. And I knew Annabelle, she'd be totally blasted.
I'm fantastic right now.
She feels fantastic. That's the way women are. They feel better than us in the morning.
I'm kind of immune to the. I'm straight edge, so I don't drink.
You're what? You don't drink?
No, he drinks a lot.
That's one of your biggest failings.
No, actually, I do drink quite a bit. Baby.
Like Frank Sinatra said, he feels sorry for people that don't drink because when they get up in the morning, that's as good as they're going to feel all day long. You should take that to heart. Henny Youngman said that when he read about the evils of drinking, he gave up reading.
What did you drink of choice, by the way?
I usually drink beer. You know, when I was in college, I used to do hard liquor. And, West Virginia University was the #1 ranked party school. And it was a source of pride for us. But it was also a tough school. You could party, but you could flunk out real easy.
So you had to be at the top of your game as a drinker.
I wasn't. I was on the dean's list in both areas, drinking and grades. What about you personally?
I really don't drink that much.
Okay.
I really don't.
I believe you. Did you think I wasn't going to believe you?
She's very defensive about it, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't drink. I really don't. Yeah. Besides drinking, you.
Well, at these conventions, I mean, I have a good time meeting all the people and, networking with other people that are in the movie making or writing field. And I've been doing them for years, and I enjoy what I do, whether I'm writing or working on a movie or going to conventions or, teaching our young filmmaking students. Russ Streiner and I are co-directors of John Russo Movie Making. The first course that we're going to completely put online is called Commercial Film Production, and it'll be a 12-week course that you can take totally online with Russ and I as the master mentors. That's what we are with the overall program. The on-site program, we're the master mentors, and we have real good everyday instructors and so on. And then we give the mostly young people, the benefit of our 40-plus years experience in the business, and that's something you can't get anywhere else, really.
How was the transition? Because I'm assuming you've taught face-to-face with people. Is this the first time you've done an online course or a correspondence course?
Yeah, but we're working with people that know how to do that. I still had to design the 12-week program, and I'm good at that because I have a degree in education. I was an English teacher and did that for a while before. I wanted to write and make movies, but until that opened up,
day job.
Yeah, I taught English for a couple of years and science, and then I'm just good with that organizational things, which you have to be in order to produce movies. So I was able to, using my books as textbooks, I was able to design a really good program. And the on-site program is an 18-month certified degree program. You get a bachelor's in business with a specialty in movie making.
So do you think, because today it's physically easier to make a movie with digital technology that people will overlook sometimes, like the basics of making a film and storytelling, the arc?
Well, everything is easier in terms of once you know what you're doing. The trouble is a lot of people don't know what they're doing. If you don't know pacing and screen direction and blocking, if you don't have a sense going in of what may be commercial or non-commercial, and if your ideas aren't any good or just copying other people's work, then you're not going to make a good movie. So there's a whole glut of movies because people can point a digital camera and get an image, but then what's it going to be like? When we made Night of the Living Dead, we shot 35 millimeter with a 35 Arriflex camera, but it was a blimped camera. there was an 80-pound blimp that went over the camera just to seal in the camera noise, so the grind of the camera didn't get on your lip sync takes. So, and you didn't have freedom of shot angles or movement and so on. Sometimes we took the camera was only this big, the blimp was this big. Sometimes we took that little camera out of the blimp so we could shoot without lip sync, and just get action shots and stuff that looked good. Now they don't have to worry about that. And also, it's so much easier to edit on computer. When we did projects, if I was shooting a commercial or a documentary, making it, I a lot of times wrote it, I directed it, and I was the cameraman, and I edited my own stuff. So did George. So did Russ when he started getting into that. So we had to do everything. I was a pretty good cameraman and editor, in addition to the directing and the writing and producing too. Sometimes I did everything.
Do you feel like it's a big loss for people to not have that diversity of experience if they say, well, I just want to do this, I just want to do this?
Well, in our program, they have to do everything. We even make them act in their own stuff, so they get an idea of what actors go through. So from the very start, they have to be on camera. And we have a thing where, how on the first day of school, everybody stands up, gives their name and where they're from, that kind of thing. Well, our way of doing that is we do it on camera. And we already have, one student will be shooting, another student will be on camera, the others will help with the lights and the placement of the mic and so on. And that's how we do it. And so those are the straight interviews, and that's when they start to get experience of doing all that. And then we do loaded interviews, which is an innovation. Well, almost all the innovations were mine. I designed the whole program. So number one, I knew that they had to get their hands on the equipment right away or they'd get bored. So I made sure that they did get their hands on the equipment right away. And the next thing after the straight interviews, we do what we call loaded interviews. And so the student has to come and play a role. Some student may come as a British rock star, complete with costume, guitar, and everything else, and now he's being interviewed as a British rock star or a hockey player with a stick in the hockey's uniform and everything else. So now they start to get their first experience of acting and playing a role. So those are the loaded interviews, and it just progresses from there. And they learn everything. And when we have transfer students, they unanimously say, school I did transferred from, I didn't get any of this. The more you know about everything, how the different skills fit together, just like I think I'm a really good director because I can edit in my mind. I can shoot on a low-budget movie if I have a 4-to-1 shooting ratio, where Woody Allen and Scorsese, they shoot 30-to-1, and they shoot everything possible because they have the money and the time, and they dump it on an editor. A lot of times,
know what to work with as an editor, and you don't want you.
Yeah, I have
you
to.
Can do.
In order to make a movie look professional on a low budget, I have to edit it in my mind, so to speak. I'm not shooting everything. I'm shooting what I know will edit and how I want to edit it. And then when I have all the raw footage, I'll sit with the editor and look at it and refresh my mind as to why I blocked it that way. So and discuss it with the editor, and then he chips in his creativity, and then it works pretty well. And my stuff will look just as if I shot 25-to-1. Where a lot of big name people, directors, Hollywood directors, and so on, don't really know that stuff, and that's why they cover their ass with all these angles and dump it on an editor. I sit with the editor all the way through pretty much, unless like Tom Dubinsky, who's edited a bunch of my stuff and a lot of the Romero films, the early ones, and Tom's very good, and I can sometimes look at things with Tom and tell him how I envision it. In fact, on my movie The Mob Boss and the Soul Singer, Tom would run into a problem sometimes. But right after the fact, think, I need another scene here. We didn't shoot it, but I know how I can make another little interlude. Call Tom up and tell him, find me just 3 shots of these people dancing that we maybe didn't shoot for that purpose, but I want to do that to bridge. Then Tom will do it. And he got to the point where when problems would come up, and he'd be talking to other people, and he'd say, "Jack will fix it." You know, they call me Jack, and it's nice when people start to see that you actually do know how to put together your own stuff. I used to sit at a movieola, and we didn't even have a movieola when we made Night of the Living Dead. All we had was a movie scope and a synchronizer. So we're used to doing it the real poor way. But now I have no interest in pushing the buttons, and you know, whether it's a computer or whether it's a movieola, the process of editing is the same. But I'd rather, when I'm writing and I'm doing the things I do, I don't have time to keep up with technology that changes every week. So I'd rather just have an editor that has a computer and knows how to use that, and I call the shots.
Because you trust in that
it's
person,
the same
like, okay,
process.
this is your thing. And
or even if I don't trust him and he does what I say,
yes.
you know, that's
Lead
what
him by the
I
hand.
learned.
All
I
right,
can't go away. I have to sit with him, because it's amazing how some of these people will just on their own, they don't even look at the script you wrote, and now they're putting together a commercial or something ass backwards from the way you shot it.
Do you feel like they can almost take on a directorial role themselves?
Yeah, well, they think they're going to show you their genius, and most of the time they screw it up. You know, most of the people that think they know how to do it don't, and that includes big names and people out there, people in Hollywood, you know, trying to play that game, and a lot of them don't know very much. And the mistakes they make are pretty surprising.
There's shaky cam and there's all constant shots. Do you feel like a lot of the cinematography now, like in forth, there's no
Constant movement.
Yeah, it's not like you have a shot where two people are having a conversation.
Yeah, I've actually heard, and I've done it. If you watch a lot of TV shows today, if you count to 3, there's a camera cut every 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's gimmickry in place of artistry. I just coined that. The problem is that they're looking, you know, for the $100 and $200 million budget film that can go out and make $1 trillion.
Transformers.
So then,
perhaps.
yeah, and I have no interest in that stuff, or almost no interest. Every now and then there's something that intrigues me, and but again, it's gimmickry. There's a narrow little place for the smaller film. But even with all that, what surprises me is that, and I think it's true, in spite of all the bad that can be said about Hollywood and that system and the major studios and all the bull crap and all the imitators and the rip-offs, some very good work gets done. I mean, you know, look at the Oscars, you know, and there will be some very sensitive, meaningful, well-made movies that comes down through all the crap. So you can't totally condemn the whole thing, but you can look at it like we're looking at it now, philosophically, and try to understand it. You know.
Who are some modern films and modern filmmakers that you do have respect for?
I don't keep up with a lot of them. I mean, who I have respect for, I like Scorsese's films. I love Goodfellas, which is now 15 years old. You know, it's such a great job. The Departed, I thought, wasn't very good. I looked forward to it and then was disappointed.
Jack Nicholson
Which
has
movie?
a terrible South Boston accent. No, it was disappointing.
Yeah, I really think that one, he won for that one because he didn't win for Goodfellas and Taxi Driver.
But the thing is, it was unbelievable. I forget now, but I mean, I couldn't believe that it would even happen. And I don't.
There was so many like false endings.
Now, but it just
there was so many false endings where it seemed like it was the end, and then it was another guy get killed, another guy get killed, and it's actually a remake of an Asian film, which I don't know, a lot of people don't know. And it's almost
I knew it was a remake of an earlier movie. I forget what now, but I was just disappointed in it. And let's see, so Scorsese, Woody Allen, I don't see anymore because I think he is a child molester. You know, I like the smaller films, and that probably goes all the way back to the art houses with Fellini and Ingmar Bergman. So I like that ensemble idea. in making meaningful, well-made movies with a small cast and not millions and millions of dollars. But then I like things like, one of my favorite things is HBO's Rome. And I've watched it 5 times, and it's about 34 hours altogether. It's just masterful. And the striking thing about it is that the writing wasn't done by one person. There are a number of writers and a number of different directors for the different segments, but they were all so much on a wavelength.
Yeah.
It's seamless.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great writing and great storytelling in TV in the last 10 years.
For sure, yeah. Actually, there's better writing and better storytelling on television in general, like, the Law and Order series and the Law and Order SVU. I don't like the other one, the Criminal Minds. I just didn't get into that. But they're concerned with social issues. Almost every story is important. Some of them are the best things I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, some great work gets done. So it's not all bullshit. Well, here's shameless plug time, except that this ties in with what we're talking about. This is my new book, Dealey Plaza. There's a quote here from Tom Brokaw. We were in a different country after those shots rang out in Dallas, and we were. And that, in a nutshell, is the premise of this book. And he made that comment well after I had written this book, but it does. The thing is, after the Kennedy assassination, the country did go through a change. It unleashed every kind of craziness. The Martin Luther King assassination, Robert Kennedy assassination, the Reagan shooting, even the shooting of George Wallace and Larry Flint and blah blah blah. So, but not just famous people and political figures. Every kind of nutcase started coming out of the woodwork. The people going postal, the school shootings, the John Wayne Gacy and Ted Bundy phenomenon.
So what is this book addressing? I mean, this is really sounds like deep stuff you're talking about. So what?
Well, it is. It's about a group of people. They're conspiracy buffs, and they're at a college in New York. And they, over Easter break, they go to Dallas to do their own reenactment of the Kennedy assassination according to their own conspiracy theories, and they think they're going to be the first to blow the lid off the Warren Commission report. And the filmmakers, the people filming it, is a husband and wife team. They're black, and they're scared to even be down there, but they get talked into it. And on the way home, the woman's raped. They're both murdered, and 2 white guys with them are murdered. Well, the lead character, Frank Williams, his goal was to become a writer, but he gets so obsessed with finding out who killed his friends that he eventually becomes a policeman and then an FBI agent working in an anti-terrorist unit. The book then it covers 40 years in the life of this country and 40 years in the lives of these characters, and 40 years later, through all they're never out of danger because it's a white supremacist guy that's behind it all, and he never gets brought to justice until almost 40 years later, even though some of his henchmen were taken out along the way. But so in the year 2000, they're back at their university for a homecoming weekend. By then, one of the people has become a country music star and a movie star. Another one is a health food guru, very rich. Her second husband is a leading talent agent now, where he used to be a campus radical, and the FBI agent, and there's a sniper there ready to kill them all. And it all ties back to those original murders. So that's the plot. But through it all, you get a real good look at the history of all those decades and how we got to be where we are today. So, which is a pretty deplorable place.
Besides, if someone would be at a convention, how would they get your book?
You can it'll be available online through Burning Bulb Publishing. You can go to my Facebook page and you'll see postings on it, or my webpage, johnrussoentertainment.com. It is on my Facebook page. It'll be on Amazon. It'll be on Kindle. That's pretty much it on the book.
There's more and more horror conventions. How do you feel it's affecting the industry of horror?
Well, the conventions, there are, sometimes people say there's a glut of them now because it's just like the people with the digital cameras that don't know how to make a movie. There are people that look at all the, they think, oh, I'll run a convention and I'll make some money. And so in that sense, there's a glut of them, but again, the cream rises to the top. There are a few really good ones. Kirk Hammett had his first horror convention. He has a fabulous collection of horror props and memorabilia and whatever, probably one of the best in the world. And I went to that in February in San Francisco, and it's just as great. It looks like he's going to have another one next year.
I heard great things about. I heard that even the venue itself was a great place to hold it at.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It was in a 100-year-old theater, a real movie palace, and every wing and all the corridors were filled with Kirk's effigies and props and every kind of thing. It was a museum quality exhibit, and that's what it was, a horror museum, thanks to Kirk. And he's another very warm and gracious person, and we become friends. So, and I just, I wasn't into heavy metal, but their musicianship is undeniable. They're great, and they don't forget their fans. So I respect that, and they haven't forgotten where they came from.
So we want to thank you for talking to us.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll run into you again.
Probably will.
You might look the other way when I come by.
If you're wearing polka dots, I will.
I'll dress a little more low key next time.
I don't care how you dress.
Just get away from me.
Oh, before we go, tell us some dirty jokes. He's compiling a list of
let
dirty
me look
jokes.
at my notes. And I don't want to tell one of the real outlandish ones on the air.
They know us.
I know, but I have
I
parents
see.
of students that.
I see.
Let's see.
He's worried about his reputation.
I'll tell you, this is fairly mild. This ventriloquist is driving around in the countryside, and he sees a grizzled old farmer with a roadside stand selling beefsteak tomatoes. So he pulls over and he buys a bag of tomatoes. And then he says, Farmer Jones, I really didn't need tomatoes, and the reason I pulled over here is because I'm like Dr. Doolittle. I can talk to animals, and you have a barnyard full of them. I can sense it. He says, they ain't never said a word to me. He said, well, that's because you don't have the sixth sense like I do. So let me go have a word with that horse over there. He said, knock yourself out. He says, hey, buddy, what's your name? He says, Ed. He says, Ed, do you like living here? He said, I hate this goddamn place. I said, why? He said, well, he feeds me nothing but rotten oats. He never lets me graze a good pasture, and I got the screaming hots for a mare on the other side of the hill, and he won't let me near him. He said, Ed, you got some legitimate gripes. He says, Farmer Jones, let's go talk to that hog over there. So they go over, and the hog's wallowing in mud, and he says, hey, what's your name? He says, Porky. He says, Porky, do you like Farmer Jones? He said, I hate his guts. He said, why do you feel that way about Farmer Jones? He says, well, because I had a girlfriend, we lived here in this mud, we had great sex, we were in love. What's he do? Hits her in the head with a mallet, slits her throat, drains her blood out of her, cuts her up into pork chops and bacon and hams, and even pickles her feet. He said, you wouldn't like it if he'd done that to your girlfriend. He said, no, I wouldn't. Farmer Jones, he said, you got some problems with your animals. Let's go talk to that sheep. And that sheep lies. Pretty clean. ready?
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for this and then
Don't miss out. He will be signing for a very limited time.
That really does
Guys,
pick
this
up a lot
is
of
the
the-
final opportunity to get something signed by Corey. So once again, if you would like something signed or have your photo taken with Corey, make your way over to his desk now. It's in the corner of this room. Don't miss out. He will be signing for a limited time only. He does have to leave shortly. He's signing for a very limited time only. Pre-sales are now complete. General admission is open. If you want something signed by Hulk, make your way across to the University Ballroom. And you'll see the signs up for Hulk.
It's the longest spiel he's done yet.
Opportunity to get something signed by Miss Peterson, the incredible Cassandra Peterson. She's also in this room right next to where I am, so don't miss out, guys, if you would like something signed.
Do you think because today it is easy for someone to physically make a movie with cameras and digital equipment,
Ladies and gentlemen,
that
once
sometimes
again,
they overlook a lot of the basics of filmmaking and storytelling?
Of course, if you don't learn the real,
photograph taken, make your way to Corey's booth, which is in the corner of this very.
they do what we call loaded interviews. In the loaded interviews, each student
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your final opportunity to get something signed by the legendary Mr. Corey Feldman. He's in this very room for a very short amount of time. Don't miss out. If you want something signed, go down to the corner of the room, start queuing up. Corey will be signing very shortly for a limited time only. This is your final opportunity, okay, guys? So if you do want something signed by Corey or a photograph taken, this is your final opportunity to do so. So don't miss out. Also, guys, the incredible, the beautiful, the sensual mistress of the dark, Miss Cassandra Peterson, will be signing